RV squatters? What the heck is that? Well, it's a term we've recently become aware of that has been coined by managers of some of the RV parks that we've patronized.
But what is campground ownership really like?
We've got squatters, the police are coming in to get rid of them.
I'm not going to put these folks on the spot. Instead, we're going to talk about a disturbing trend that has become more prevalent as of late. Look, I know that times are tough and that folks are trying to do whatever they can do to survive. The economy is falling apart, prices are up, way up, all the way across the board. Services and quality are down. It's not easy, especially for the older crowd, those on a fixed income. Hey, my wife and I at one time thought we had a fairly good retirement, but it's getting tougher to make ends meet. Back on point, the term RV squatters was something we were made aware of a few months back while talking with a maintenance man at one of our favorite parks here locally. Innocent enough, I asked if anyone had gotten hurt when someone backed into a block wall on the back side of the park. He replied, "RV squatters." I must have had a pretty dumbfounded look on my face at his answer, so he explained. It seems that someone drove into the open park, no gates or guards, late on a Friday night after the staff had left, and late enough that not many residents were out, backed into the site and struck the wall, hooked up to power, water, and sewer, and just set up camp. So for the weekend, no management was available to deal with the situation. Come Monday, the homeowner, whose home shared a common wall with the park, began calling to complain. Management called PD, the police, who told them that there were proper channels to follow to evict them, but that this was kind of a nationwide trend and they would most likely be gone within a week or so. Well, management also ran it up to corporate, who advised them that they were to have a hands-off policy when dealing with them. Since then, we've seen personally 4 others doing much the same. Not always damaging the grounds, but they have all seemed to do it in much the same way. Late on a Friday, back into a site, possibly to conceal their plates or lack thereof. A little note on this in a minute. Quickly hook up to utilities, run the slides out, and most of the times leave their tow vehicle connected. Not that we don't do that, stay connected, if we're only spending the night, so we can get an early start, but we've paid for our space. On that note, that's another big scam that's afoot, which is to pay online for a temporary plate for one day, then mount it on the truck or RV, and never pay for the registration, hoping to not get caught.
Untraceable car, untraceable tag, that can just be printed out and actually used on other vehicles across the city as well.
There are other tricks that we've heard of, like for the bolder ones. Pulling up during the week and business hours to an empty park, like in Arizona in the summertime. Telling the office, oh, we booked at 3000 Trails, and they even gave us a space number, which is the one they're hooking up to at the moment. Management, trying to be nice, gets on the phone with 1000 Trails, only to find after some digging that these folks have been blackballed by 1000 Trails for just this tactic. Too late. They're in and planted. A week or so later, on a weekend, after using all the amenities and trying to panhandle off the paying guests, they slip out and continue on their way. Some folks might say, but what's the harm? They're obviously in need and just trying to get by. And I'm as forgiving and Christian as anyone else, but for one thing, call them what you want. Squatters, hobos, knights of the road, gypsies, homeless, but more accurately, these folks are scammers. They are abusing the system. They found a hole in the rules and are exploiting it. They are no better than those squatters who illegally enter your sticks and bricks, make up a bunch of fake documents, and try to steal your home. And if they meet with any resistance, then they trash it till it's nearly uninhabitable.
Is a handyman who once removed squatters from his mother's home.
What is happening is a dangerous trend. There are usually reports of damaged and stolen items when these folks appear, with disheveled sites and trash left behind. Again, what's the problem? Well, you and I are going to end up paying for these squatters one way or another. Spaces you could use will not be available. The cleanup and repairs and utilities have to be done by the park, which puts a strain on its bottom line. You won't be able to pull into a park after hours and just settle up with management in the morning after a long travel day. You'll just have to make other arrangements. It's gonna hurt us. You know that they're not gonna eat it. They'll just pass it on down the food chain to us. Hey, it's already getting expensive. If it gets bad enough, they may have to close down some of their holdings. Parks. A lot of these folks have taken over the streets in some of our cities, and could it be possible that when those cities begin cracking down, wouldn't it seem reasonable that they would move elsewhere, adapt, and maybe do this? So what's the answer? Some parks can't afford the most obvious solutions, which would be private security, a gated community with actual key cards issued to those staying for the safety of all. Similar to one park we've stayed at recently. It doesn't hurt that there's a police station right next door either. This brings up memories of what my grandparents told me was happening during the 30s and 40s in this country. The nomadic workers who traveled across the United States, taking up jobs wherever they could find them, created signs known as hobo signs. This was particularly common during the period of the Great Depression, 1929 to 1939, which saw a significant increase in the number of people leaving their homes in search of food and shelter. It is estimated that around 4 million adults were affected by this crisis, with 250,000 being teenagers who lost everything due to the economic collapse. I don't know, maybe you guys have some viable ideas that we can pass on to the community. Also, tell us if you've stayed where this phenomenon has been cropping up. As always, please travel safe.